Previously on Dragon Ball Z.
They're spamming PlayStation is garbage, tossing in the laughing emojis, and acting like Insomniac just fumbled the ball. And you know what's funny? 6 months from now, the exact same people are going to be begging for a port. Just like they did with Spider-Man. Just like they did with God of War. Just like they did with Ghost of Tsushima. It's the cycle of hope, and this screenshot deserves to be plastered in the dictionary right next to the word itself. Here are the biggest gaming leaks and news you've probably missed this week. So, today's the 26th of September, which for PlayStation fans basically means it's The Last of Us Day. Yeah, that annual celebration Naughty Dog does for the series. And this year, Sony decided to mark the occasion by dropping The Last of Us Part 2 on PS Plus Extra, both the original PS4 version and the shiny PS5 remastered version. They're live right now, you can download them today. Now, if you don't know, The Last of Us Day isn't just a random date they picked out of a hat. It's literally the same day the cordyceps infection went full outbreak mode in the original game, kicking off that whole grim world we ended up exploring. Kinda dark, but fitting, right? In past years, Naughty Dog usually gave us some merch, posters, little goodies, here and there. This year though, nah. Looks like the big highlight is just the game hitting PS Plus. Most of us have already played Part 2 by now, but throwing it on Extra opens the door for a bunch of new players, especially after Season 2 of the HBO show earlier this year. Perfect timing if you ask me. And hey, even if you've already played it, maybe it's worth jumping back in. The remaster isn't just prettier, they added that chronological mode too, so you can actually play through the whole story in order, which feels completely different. Plus, Naughty Dog's been tweaking and updating things ever since. So yeah, PlayStation just revealed a brand new God of War Special Edition controller, and honestly, it's pretty damn cool. This one's for the big 20th anniversary of God of War, and they've gone all in on making it feel like Kratos. The design takes direct inspiration from his iconic Omega tattoo, that blood red ink across the ashy gray skin. You know the look? It's been his thing from the Greek saga all the way through the Norse one. The team at Santa Monica Studios said they wanted to capture those exact tones, red on gray, to really nail that authentic Kratos vibe. And honestly, they pulled it off. It feels like a proper homage to 2 decades of chaos, myth, and rage. Now here's the part you probably care about. The DualSense wireless controller, God of War 20th Anniversary Limited Edition, is dropping for $84.99. Pre-orders go live October 3rd at 10 a.m. local time on PlayStation Direct. And yeah, some retailers worldwide will carry it too. Just keep in mind it's limited, so if you want one, don't wait around because this thing will vanish fast. So, Games Radar actually got hands-on with Battlefield 6's single player, and they played it for 3 hours. And from what they're saying, it's a big throwback, like a clear return to those grounded military campaigns we used to get in the early 2000s. None of the jetpack nonsense. No superhero powers. Just straight up boots on the ground. And trust me, the devs at Criterion hammered that phrase into their heads. Apparently, they said it 6 times in one interview, and then a bunch more before and after. They really want you to know this is old school Battlefield. They got to play 3 missions out of 9. Mission 3 was basically a modern-day Normandy beach landing. It started as a rail shooter, then pivoted to you protecting a tank as it crawls through the city. Mission 5, way better. Why? Because the first thing they did was hand over a sledgehammer. From there, it turned into some breach and clear gunplay in New York apartments. But Mission 8? That's where everything clicked. Suddenly, it opened up. You're dropped in the countryside as a scout sniper, blowing up artillery guns, backed by an RC drone that drops bombs. The devs said you could play it however you wanted, and this guy apparently took that as an excuse to ram into a depot with a Jeep, honking the horn, running over mercs, until an RPG smacked him and he had to cry out for his AI squad mates to pick him back up. Classic Battlefield chaos. Now, the devs, Fasahat Salim and Danny Isaac, explained that choice and creativity were the focus. Even in the more linear missions, they want you to experiment, but, as they pointed out, running out into the open like a lunatic isn't going to work. And yeah, Games Radar admitted the game can be surprisingly overwhelmingly unforgiving. They had to break the bad habit of assuming invincibility like in recent shooters. This is more of a cover shooter, with just enough challenge to make you think twice before charging with a hammer like a berserker. Story-wise, they didn't get the full picture since they only played slices, but the vibe is straight up Battlefield 3 and 4. Add some inspiration from war films like Civil War and Generation Kill, plus loads of real war documentaries the devs say they studied. But they're clear it's entertainment first. You're not some secret Black Ops super soldier, you're a Marine Raider. Tough, yeah, but still human. Of course, that still means you're doing stuff like outrunning a tidal wave from a dam explosion and leaping across collapsing bridges because hey, it's a video game. Now, it's not perfect. The squad AI, kinda dumb. Enemies sometimes just shuffle around like they weren't ready for the scene, and your teammates, don't rely on them too much. One medic apparently couldn't figure out a staircase and let the guy bleed out while trying to pathfind it. And visibility is messy. Debris, smoke, and teammates blending in with enemies make some firefights chaotic in the wrong way. But overall, they came away positive. Battlefield 6 feels like a proper return to classic military shooters, stripped of sci-fi fluff. That'll turn some people off, but for others, it's exactly what they've been waiting for. And honestly, after hearing about that 8th mission, it sounds like a ride worth taking when it drops October 10th. So I got this interesting question from a fellow named Unknown, and as I was replying to it, I realized I had basically written a full segment. I think it deserves to be shared with a wider audience. So let's read the comment first, and then we'll jump into the breakdown. The comment: have you read the numerous articles stating that many PS5 Pro owners are disappointed with Pro enhancements so far? I'm a longtime PlayStation fan, but I'm glad I stuck with my base PS5. Yes, of course I did. I've also debunked a couple of them. I've run plenty of holes too. And sure, there are always going to be people disappointed with specific hardware, but my polls show that PS5 Pro owners are overwhelmingly happy with their PS5 Pro, and they're very vocal about how awesome the PS5 Pro is. Now, is my audience overwhelmingly blind to whatever Sony puts out, spinning everything into something positive? I honestly doubt that, because on this channel, we're very engaged with each other, and we always talk about both the good and the bad. Now, to address your statement, I'm glad I stuck with base PS5. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. Like I've said many times, the PS5 Pro is for enthusiasts. It's for people who really want that extra oomph. They want a bit of extra storage right out of the box, and probably have a larger 65-inch QLED 120Hz TV. Those people are very happy with their purchase. Every time I've made a video titled something like, here's another PS5 Pro issue, the conclusion is always the same. It's a UE5 game or an unoptimized launch title that even runs worse on a $2,000 gaming PC. The upside is that these flickering or performance issues usually get fixed and patched over time. That said, I won't deny they can be frustrating. But what's even more frustrating is when you see misleading videos, like the El Analista channel saying Silent Hill F on PS5 Pro drops to 360p. People just run with it. X posts and articles are everywhere showing those screenshots. But the funny part is they get exposed as fake just hours later. Yet nobody bothers to make a follow-up report saying, hey, that video or article was fake, or hey, the issues were fixed within 48 hours or a week later. You don't see those reports because they're not dramatic enough. They're not as clickable as PS5 Pro sucks. Makes sense? Take Star Wars Jedi Survivor, for example. When it first launched, the game was a technical mess. Frame rates tanking, screen tearing, crashes, you name it. People were dunking on it left and right, saying it was unplayable, but then Respawn pushed out update after update, and within a few months, the performance had completely turned around. On PlayStation 5 now, it runs like a dream. That's exactly the point I keep making. Most of these so-called PS5 Pro issues aren't really Pro problems at all. They're game optimization problems. And just like Jedi Survivor, they usually get fixed with patches. So here's the deal. A new PS5 Pro model has been confirmed, and people are already asking, should I be worried if I already bought one? And honestly, no, you shouldn't. The insider reports are saying Sony's rolling out this revised PS5 Pro in Europe on September 30th. It's codenamed CFY 7121. And the big news is, well, there isn't really any big news. On the outside, it looks the same. It feels the same. And under the hood, it's still rocking the same GPU, the same AI upscaler PSSR, and the same 2TB SSD. Performance doesn't change. What Sony has probably done is shaved off a little copper here, tightened the motherboard layout there, maybe swapped in a more efficient chip. Basically, stuff that makes the console cheaper for them to build and slightly cooler and quieter for you to run. That's it. This isn't a slim model. It's not some secret performance boost. It's Sony doing what Sony always does, streamlining production. The good part? They didn't pull a sneaky move and downgrade the storage like they did with the last PS5 revision. No price change either. It's still €799 and 99 cents. So if you already own a PS5 Pro, relax. You're not missing out on anything. Your console is just as powerful as the new one. The real upgrade to watch for is in 2026. That's when Sony's next big hardware push will happen. Whether it's the PlayStation 6 or something major, that's the one that'll matter. Phill Spencer is a hypocrite. No sugarcoating it. He's the king of saying one thing in interviews and doing the exact opposite behind the scenes. And this past week, he gave us a masterclass in that hypocrisy. So here's the setup. Phill Spencer goes on stage at the Paley International Council Summit with Jonathan Nolan, the guy behind the Fallout TV show. He says it's actually a good thing that Xbox didn't have a new Fallout game ready to launch alongside the show. Like, come on, that's not strategy. That's called not having your house in order. But Phill spins it like he's some mastermind trying to turn a failure into a win. Already sounds like corporate doublespeak, right? But then he heads to Bloomberg and really starts talking. He brags about Xbox games going everywhere. Pentiment, Grounded, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Indiana Jones, all either already ported or announced for PlayStation and Switch. And he says there's basically no limit to this. Translation: Xbox as a platform is dead. The console is just a box they'd rather you forget about, while the games scatter everywhere else. Now here's where it gets rich. In that same Bloomberg interview, Phill takes a dig at Sony over the PS5 Pro price. He says, "We're not going to grow the market with $1,000 consoles." He's positioning Xbox as the consumer-friendly choice, the one that won't bleed you dry. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Almost noble. Except less than 5 months ago, Microsoft already raised the price of Xbox Series X and Series S, and now they're doing it again. In the United States, starting October 3rd, you'll be paying between $100 and $200 more for the same consoles that were already struggling to move off shelf. His excuse? Macroeconomic environment. Give me a break. Sony raises prices and Phill mocks them. Xbox raises prices twice in a year, and suddenly it's a careful decision. That's hypocrisy 101. And it doesn't stop there, because while he's mocking Sony for a so-called $1,000 console, which, by the way, isn't even true unless you tack on a disk drive and a stand, Microsoft is launching its own next big thing with Asus, the Xbox Ally handhelds. The base model, $599. The premium Ally X, $999. $1,000 for a handheld. From the same guy who said the market won't grow with $1,000 consoles. You can't make this up. He's literally saying one thing in the interview while his own team is prepping to launch the exact product he claims will kill the market. And the funniest part? The Xbox Ally isn't even a fully original Xbox device. It's basically Asus's ROG Ally with a green Xbox logo slapped on it. The specs are fine, sure, but you're telling me it's okay to sell a $1,000 handheld PC and then act holier than thou about Sony's pricing? That's the definition of talking out both sides of your mouth. And let's not forget history. Xbox did do a mid-gen refresh last time, the Xbox One X, and it was a beast, far more powerful than the PS4 Pro, sold at a fair $499 price point, and positioned as the world's most powerful console. They were proud of that, but now, Phill acts like mid-gen refreshes are pointless, because costs are too high. You see the pattern? Whenever Xbox is losing or failing, it suddenly becomes strategic. When Sony plays the same game, suddenly it's anti-consumer. Phill Spencer doesn't hate $1,000 consoles. He hates $1,000 consoles that don't have an Xbox logo on them. That's the real story. And the fact people still buy into this "Phill is for the players" nonsense shows just how deep the PR spell runs. But if you actually look at his actions, not his words, you'll see the truth. It's hypocrisy, plain and simple. The worst part of all this is the fact that some people are celebrating that it's selling out. Like, you do realize that you're encouraging and signaling Microsoft Microsoft and Sony by saying, hey, it's okay to make $1,000 consoles and handhelds. Of course, we will buy it. Of course, we are your sheep. Heck, put a $1,200 price tag on it and we will buy it. All this because you just want to make a post saying, Sony ponies crying, ROG Ally sold out. Talk about a toxic relationship, am I right? And, I'm still skeptical about this whole ROG Ally selling out. I wouldn't be surprised if we found out in a couple of months that they've been holding off stock just to create buzz around it. They did the same with the NVIDIA 50 series launch. Oh, sold out immediately. 2 weeks later, the shelves are full of 50 series cards, but still not at MSRP. When that didn't work just a month ago, all of a sudden, you can find all the new NVIDIA GPUs closer to MSRP. And you want to know a tiny bit of insight from someone that worked in sales and marketing internationally for 10 years? Well, I know someone actually. Who is that, I hear you ask? It's me. We did this stuff every month. We used scarcity tactics. We used to say we only got 5 left, but we had a storage of 200 products in the back. We used quote-unquote sellout just to create marketing buzz and more demand. And you know what's the craziest part? It worked. It worked surprisingly well. And I'm seeing the same marketing tactics being used right now with the Xbox ROG Ally X, but on a 10 times bigger scale. So be wary of these posts. Don't get fooled by the FOMO tactics. Remember, it costs 1,000 USD and it's a PC gaming handheld. And remember, if you've already gotten ROG Ally handheld, you can already get the Windows Xbox launcher for that device. Heck, I could even install the Xbox OS that's on the Ally X on my laptop right now. Look, I'm not here to hate on this device. I'm just saying I don't like this pricing model, and I don't like that people are falling for the sold-out marketing. I want to see the numbers. What is the number of consoles pre-order that are sold out? Don't just tell me it's sold out, and then we find out a month later that the pre-order stock was 1,000 or 10,000 units. That's not a sold-out situation. That's FOMO. So check out this funny post. I've never seen a sadder post. What happens when, let's say, you go through some hard times and can't afford certain luxuries anymore? Like, I don't know, Gamepass, Netflix, or Amazon Prime? Or even worse, what happens when your internet provider decides it's that time of the month and you suddenly have no connection? What are you gonna play then? What are you gonna watch? Yeah, I pay for my games. And no, I don't need to verify my purchase every 24 hours just to keep playing. You have no idea how vulnerable you are with these services. And that goes for movies too. I actually collect movies now. I keep them on a hard drive. I don't bother with Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney Plus anymore. It's all garbage compared to owning your stuff. Blu-ray quality blows these streaming services out of the water. So yeah, you keep paying for Game Pass until the day you can't. Then you'll realize you've got 0 games to play. You know how tedious it is when you move to a new location or a new address. Personally, I've done it a couple of times. A lot of the time, I was traveling internationally for my work in sales, and sometimes I didn't have an internet connection. But you know what I always had with my PlayStation? 2 hard drives totaling 4 terabytes of storage, packed with games and movies. Another recent example, this year, I moved from an apartment to a house. No, I didn't buy a house. I'm a console peasant after all, so I'm renting. Anyways, one of the biggest headaches when you move is the internet connection. When I moved to the new house, I had to wait 10 days for my internet provider to come and install it at the new address. During that time, I literally went to Starbucks 3 times a week just to upload a video for the channel. But when I came home, I didn't stare at a useless piece of plastic in my living room hooked up to a useless TV, all because I didn't have internet. Nope, I had my library of games and my library of movies ready to go. That's why I think people really need to wake up and realize what these subscription services actually are: an uncomfortable trap. Once your internet is out, you've got nothing to play, nothing to watch. Game Pass and PS Plus are fine. They're a nice luxury, but they're not a replacement for physical media or purchased digital media. 15 for Netflix, 10 for Amazon Prime, 10 for Disney, HBO Max, and on and on. People don't realize they're bleeding $150 a month into subscriptions. And the second your internet cuts out or hard times hit, suddenly your house is just full of useless electronic junk. If you enjoyed this video, hey, maybe drop a like. It really helps a lot and tells me you want more. Subscribe for day one gaming leaks and news, and check out these videos you probably missed. Trust me, they're worth it.